Hi there, this is Dave Dubeau, and welcome to this week's episode of Canadian Profits TV. Have to apologize that we missed an episode last week, and that's because our good friend Wagner was a little under the weather. Snip, snip. So we let him have the day off. So we're back at it. Hope you had a great weekend. I had a fantastic weekend myself. Just wrapped up the advanced course with Landmark Education. That's some pretty heavy-duty self-improvement work that I'm doing. Goodness knows I can use some self-improvement. Anyhow, if you're into that kind of thing, highly recommend that you check out Landmark Education. What's going on this week? Well, I missed last week's episode, and that was unfortunate because I just came back from an absolutely phenomenal trip way up north to Fort McMurray, Alberta. That was my first trip up there, and Ken and Joanne Beaton and myself went up at the invitation of our good friend and longtime Creative Profits Club member, Mr. Riel Chartrand. And Riel and Malcolm Setter and Marshall Barber and a bunch of other folks up there all got together and put on an absolutely amazing real estate education event that Ken, Joanne, and I spoke at. So had a great time up there, met some fantastic people. I think they had close to 75 people turned out for the event. And it was just amazing. In fact, we'll show you some clips or some pictures of the event as I'm talking about it. But what I wanted to share with you about the whole thing, what really impacted me about that whole trip was a lesson about generosity. And I've liked to think of myself as being a generous person, but it's just absolutely put to shame by seeing what generosity really is when I went up there. So Riel and Sheila, two of the most generous people that I've ever met. And after the event, they took us to a different charity fundraiser for a charity called Kids Forever. And these folks, Riel and Sheila, have been part of this charity for quite a while. Very, very involved with it. So we had fun. We went out to the charity auction and that kind of thing, and I was watching how things are going. Had close to 700 people or over 700 people at that event. But what really, really blew me away was the generosity of people in Fort McMurray. So Riel and Sheila are the most popular, the most successful caterers in the area. And for the auction, they offered a done-for-you barbecue, a catered barbecue for 100 people, and they put that up as an auction. So that's got almost a $5,000 value. The year before, they did the same thing, and they actually sold that or raised $10,500 in the auction for that. So that's kind of what they were expecting for this year. What happened absolutely blew everybody's mind away, and that was that there was a bidding war that started for the barbecue. So long story short, at the end of the day, they put up 2 barbecues for 100 people and sold each one for $30,000. They raised $60,000 for the charity. Riel and Sheila are coming out of pocket to do the barbecues for 200 people, so 2 100-people barbecues, including steaks and lobsters and the whole bit. So, I mean, they're incredibly generous with their time and their money because it costs a lot of money to put on those kind of barbecues. But they've raised over $60,000 just from that one thing to help sick kids in northern Alberta. So, absolutely blew me away. The hospitality was amazing. The people were fantastic. Riel took us on an absolutely spectacular, almost hour-and-a-half helicopter tour of the oil sands up there. And if you've never been to Fort McMurray, and even if you've just been there driving, you cannot imagine the scope of how big everything is up there. So my big lesson for this week was getting a real lesson on what generosity is all about. I've taken it to heart. I definitely am going to be a much more generous person myself, not just with money, but with my time as well, because that's what these guys do. And I just want to thank them very, very much for a fantastic weekend and a wonderful lesson. So that's this week's Canadian Profits TV episode, a little bit shorter, more of a mindset type of a thing, but I think it was very, very important. And what I want to remind you about, still not too late to get involved with Ken Beaton and myself in our brand new program, the Apartment Building Wealth Generation Program. And that's going to be starting this Thursday, October the 10th. You can find out all about that. I think we've got 2, maybe 3 spots still available at apartmentwealthgeneration.com. Again, that's apartmentwealthgeneration.com, or you can click on a link wherever Wagner put it and find out all about that. Watch the replay of the original presentation. We did all about that. And if you're in southern Alberta, so Red Deer South, if you're in southern Alberta, keep your eye out for an email for an invitation for a brand new event that we're going to be putting on. It's a two-day, full-on two-day event called the Rent to Own Profits Blueprint. And this is going to give everybody a very good, solid introduction to what rent to own real estate investing is all about, creative real estate investing. It's going to be absolutely free with a fully refunded seat deposit. So keep your eyes out for that. And that's going to be happening November 16th and 17th. I just want to give you a little hint about that. So if you see the emails or the invites coming, you'll know what it's all about. Have a great week. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.